get through this. Okay, so we are recording. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be doing this talk tonight. We're going to dive into week 2 of the challenge, participating in the challenge. And then even those of you who are not participating in the challenge, I think this is going to be a topic that's really going to be, it's going to resonate with a lot of people and really get you going into the next step of your healing and your progress. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes for everybody to hop on. Oh yeah, no, I fully expect for the next year I'm going to be cold, like have colds, especially now as like we kind of get back into the swing of things. And we've had masks on for like 2 years, so going back to the normalcy of things is going to be really interesting. All right, let me open up the chat here. So I've got my water and my tea. All right, so let's dive into it. Today we're going to talk about rebuilding your relationship with food. So food. Oh my God, see my brain. Really building your relationship with exercise. So this is a topic when Michelle, Sophie, and I were talking about, what we wanted the challenge to focus on and how we break down the weeks. This was a topic that when Michelle was like, hey, let's talk about exercise, I was like, I will hands down do that one. For those of you who don't know, for a long time, I was a gym rat. I loved working out. I loved kind of the push it gave me, the results that I would see. Obviously, this was kind of before my diagnosis. And then even after my diagnosis, actually right around the time I started working with Michelle, I worked at a gym. I was a kickboxing, Zumba, and boot camp instructor. So this is kind of a topic for me. I did cut my hair, thank you. This is a topic for me that is really kind of close to home because I've been on two sides of the spectrum. One side being, gym rat, working out 5 days a week. My husband and I were like, we would do legs on one day, and like we were full on working out constantly. And then to the other extreme where not working out at all. So having that balance and understanding how to have that balance when you have hormonal issues and, chronic illnesses that are impacted by adrenaline and cortisol, which is released when we're working out the way, the way I was doing high intensity workouts. I wasn't doing like yoga and like Zen stuff. Like it was high intensity stuff. So today's going to be a lot about how do we find that balance so that we still can enjoy the rush and the great, kind of high feeling you get when you're, in that zone, kind of in that flow of things where you're working out and you have your heart pumping, and we'll talk about the benefits of it. And then we'll talk about how to create like a balanced plan for you so that you don't overdo it, but do just enough for your body, right? That's what the program is all about. So I want to start off by asking you to share in the chat what words or feelings come to mind when you hear exercise. Okay, so when you just hear the word exercise, what comes to mind? For those of you who are in the challenge, you did the brain dump as part of the reflection homework. Just brain dump on this right now. What comes to mind when you hear the word exercise? What feelings do you get? Kind of, does it trigger you? Do you miss it, right? Kind of share that in the comments here. Let's see what we get going here. Okay. And if everybody can just make sure that they're muted, that would be awesome. I'm trying to change the view here because this is driving me crazy. Okay, let's look at the chat here. Okay. So we've got people saying they miss it. Got very sad and angry with myself when I couldn't move like I used to. Yeah. Miss it, but has triggered flares. Absolutely. Fear, dread, but excited. Yeah, definitely. These days can't even imagine how to fit it into my day. We're going to talk about that too. Standard over schedule. I thought I wasn't doing my part unless I was like working out consistently like 5 days a week. And on this day I do legs, and on this day, right? Like that gym kind of workout heavy mentality, which again, by all means, whoever's able to do that, kudos to you. But me having the brain I have, it was almost too overwhelming. And I feel like a lot of us might relate to that. Let's see what else. Used to be no pain, no gain, right? Like if I wasn't walking out of there like with those wobbly knees, I felt like it wasn't a good workout. And I didn't realize the damage that I was doing to my body with that kind of mentality. My me time. Yeah, right. So it's okay to have these feelings coexist at the same time. You can miss exercising and you can also fear it. Like it can coexist. And I think it has to do a lot with our perspective about exercise and movement and whether we see it as a reward to our bodies or a punishment. I always say to myself and to others, the minute exercise becomes a punishment for you, you've lost the point of it, right? It should never be a punishment to you. Like, oh, I ate like, I ate terrible today. I got to get to the gym and make sure like I run like 3 miles on the treadmill. Like, no, if it's a punishment, it's not worth doing. Now it's something I get to do, not have to do. And I no longer feel like I have to go balls to the wall, right? So definitely we'll talk about that. All right, so let's jump into it here. I'm pulling up my notes. So what often happens is this lack of balance, as we often see in many things in life. And I feel like the word balance, I feel like I have to like, wear a chain or something which says the word balance. Like it's something that keeps coming up in a lot of my conversations. But the word balance, like I said, if you're seeing it as a punishment and not a gentle, something to reward yourself with, like I want to do this so I feel good, not I want to do this because I'm like fat and out of shape and I feel gross, right? Like that's not what exercise should be about. That's what society and a lot of like the gyms and workout programs advertise to, because whether we like it or not, we know that we're going to move, like companies that advertise to us about exercise often get to us because of those negative feelings we have about ourselves. They're not going to be like, hey, come work out with us because we want you, to feel great. And like they might say that, but usually the way they market it, and pay attention to these ads and the things you see on social media and the way people market. I worked in a gym myself, and I worked in a private gym where it wasn't a corporate gym. It was somebody that had to get clients in. We were often, and I hate to admit it, but it was often targeting those insecurities in people and making them think that, hey, we can solve that problem, right? So that in itself is a huge issue, because if you start the relationship like that, you're not seeing it as a reward and you're seeing it more as a punishment. So finding that balance and understanding what your body needs and working with it, right? So you don't have to go like someone like, Beth said, go balls to the wall. You don't have to feel sore for the next 3 days. I hated the feeling of soreness. But in my mind, if I didn't feel sore, I didn't do the work. And now I've come to the realization that like you actually can get a lot done for your body if you're not feeling sore. So that whole mentality has had to shift a lot. So, and then again, we go to the extremes of exercising too much or not enough. I was in both sides of the spectrum where when I got my diagnosis, I was still working out a lot and I couldn't figure out why I was having so many flares, and people saw me and I was like thin, but because I was like crapping myself to death with my colitis, but I couldn't figure out in my brain, like, why am I having flares so much? I'm eating the right foods. I'm exercising consistently. Like, I don't get it. The exercise I was doing and the amount of times I was doing it was pumping way too much adrenaline and stressing my body way too much. So we have to understand that balance of what's just the right amount. And it's all trial and error. You're not going to figure it out overnight. It's going to be setting that standard, which we'll talk about, and then figuring out how to tweak it. Like, this is how I did this week. I feel like next week I can do a little bit more. Like, I think I can challenge myself a bit further. Or, you know what, I did this amount of challenge days or exercises or workouts this week, and my body is not responding well to it. Maybe I should cut back a little bit or change the type of workout I'm doing, which we'll talk about the different types of workouts you can do. You don't have to do like CrossFit or like, Olympic weight training to get a good workout in. You can just go for a walk or do a Zumba class or something fun. So we'll get into that. All right, so let's go over the science of it. Too much exercise can actually cause injury. I mean, that's kind of common sense, right? But it happens more often than we realize. When people are overexerting themselves and doing too much, it can be really damaging to the body. Too much adrenaline and more inflammation. So if you've ever been working out and you feel like you have to do that extra push, which again is often how we're trained to do it, right? Like, come on, that's where the growth happens. Give that extra push. For a body that is, kind of not dealing with these chronic illnesses, that's great. Kudos to them. But that extra push is what pushed me over the edge, right? When I felt like I had to literally use every ounce of whatever was left in me, like that last bit of gas in the tank to get that last rep in or to finish the workout, that's where adrenaline kicked in, and cortisol, because I'm stressed now, it would kick in. And if I did that consistently enough, my body was incredibly inflamed. So understanding that too much of it is really damaging to the body. And then it creates a negative relationship with exercise. For a while I went to the gym and I didn't love going. Like, I forced myself to go. Who wants to force themselves to go? Now I get it. There's going to be times, like, if you don't prioritize your, basically, like, if you are enjoying your workouts, you're gonna look forward to them. If you're dreading it to the point where it's like you have to pull teeth and nails just to get to the gym or get to a workout in the house or go, it's not worth it, and you're just stressing your body even more. And we know what those stress hormones do to us, so we really have to reflect on that and find that balance for ourselves. So something I want to point out: the body doesn't know the difference between self-imposed stress or external physical stress. All right, so let me say that again. The body doesn't know the difference between self-imposed stress or external physical, like threat or stress, right? So if you've got like a lion chasing you, I always use this metaphor, the nervous system and your brain is going to fire off a certain way, because now it's in flight or fight response, and your hormones are going to start kicking off because you literally need to run. Well, here's the thing: when you self-impose stress on your body, your brain doesn't know the difference between a lion or the fact that you're just pushing yourself to do that extra rep or to work out really hard. It reacts the same way. So the brain isn't always smart about that. It doesn't see the difference. It's just going to respond. So it thinks like, oh crap, something must be wrong, because why would you be putting your body through this? I'm going to release adrenaline and cortisol. So yeah, the adrenaline is going to get you to finish the workout, but it's done the damage. So just keep that in mind when you guys start figuring out, where that balance is and where your standard is in working out, and take into account that our bodies just respond differently to hormones, right? Our bodies are more sensitive to the adrenaline and the cortisol. So it's important to keep in mind, like, don't compare yourself to other people that can do it. They're not living with our bodies. They don't have to go to sleep with our bodies. They don't have to manage life with our bodies. So, just keep that in mind. All right. Well, how are we feeling so far? What are we thinking? Let me look at the chat here, because I like to see what everyone's thinking. Give me a break to breathe. My nose is like so bad. I used to lift crazy weights just because I could, which made me flare all the time. Yes, absolutely. And it was interesting because I would lift those weights, be like, oh my God, look, I've lifted more weights, but then I'd be home and in the toilet for hours. So it was like, what's the point of it? Like, I can't even go out or do anything. I'm in flare constantly. So what else do we got here? What is wrong with this chat? Okay. What? This is really driving me crazy, this chat here. Yeah, this is definitely, I can relate to so much. Literally explains the reverse reactions I've had from going all out with workouts with my cortisol already so high. I'm so competitive and was always an athlete, so it never fails. I always overwork myself. Yeah. And again, this didn't happen overnight, right? Like the mindset we have now towards exercise has been building up for years. So we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace and patience to relearn things, just like we relearn everything in this program. So I used to take that crazy pre-workout stuff to give myself the energy to force myself to exercise in a flare. Thinking back now, I'm amazed at how much I was hurting myself. Yes, I used to take a workout that was like called some crazy, just the name alone, I don't know what I was thinking putting that into my body. So that probably caused worse symptoms and like made my system like more havoc. And then up to the top of it all, it was pushing me beyond limits. So I'm also scared to work out now because every time, oh, I lost that comment. Oh, well, I'll come back to the comments. I don't know why I can't like hide it here, but all right, so let's go here. Let's talk about the other side of it, not doing enough exercise. So not exercising enough often leaves us feeling lethargic and lacking energy. So, which makes sense, right? We know the benefits of exercise, you know, the pumping through the blood gets the heart going. Like, there are benefits to exercise. Everything in life is about balance. It's when you do too much of anything. Drinking too much water can be bad, right? So even water that is so good for us, too much of it can be bad. So we have to keep that in mind when we start to make these lifestyle changes, that too much can be harmful and too little can be harmful. But when you don't do any exercise, which I was on that other extreme too, where I was like, okay, so I'm just never going to work out. Like, I just cannot live my life in a constant flare. My self-esteem also took a hit. It, you know, even with the kind of negative relationship I had with working out, I did feel a certain way about myself. And not just because of my physical body, but I felt like mentally I was more alert. I saw kind of my ability to push myself, you know, and get things done, right? So my self-esteem took a real hit when I stopped working out. And finding that balance also, it's interesting, when I started kind of introducing exercise, and I'm still figuring out how to introduce it, I could never just introduce it slowly. So that's something I'm working on. So if you are too, I like, you know, I would go to a Zumba class. I love Zumba. I'm a Zumba instructor myself. And I kept telling myself, okay, Evie, like, I'm not going to go balls to the wall and go crazy. But I always got into it. And then all of a sudden I'm pushing myself. It's something that I have to relearn how to do. So giving ourselves grace and patience as we figure that out is really, really important in this process of balance and healing. And the benefits of it is also what it does for your mental health. Like, that's you know, and I'm really a big advocate for mental health. So understanding the balance of exercise and what it does for our brains and how it filters out hormones, right? So as long as you're like staying really hydrated and you've got a really nice balanced exercise or challenge day routine, which we'll go into, it flushes out the excess hormones that we don't need in our system. So if you're really sedentary, when, you know, when you're what's the word, you know, when you don't do too much, you're just kind of sitting around and not very active, those hormones aren't getting flushed out as much as they would be if you're active and hydrated and, you know, eating all the foods that are helpful for our bodies. So those are kind of some things to keep in mind. So let's talk about the benefits of balanced exercise, right? So proper hydration, we talked about, reducing mental emotional stress, and how do we create a hormone-friendly exercise plan? So right now, I want you guys to share in the chats, what are some workouts that you have found are really fun, exciting? Share with the other people on here some workouts that you like to do. And again, a workout does not have to be like, I do yoga, I do Pilates. It can be, I go for a hike, I take walks every day. I do challenge days, and we'll go into that a little bit more, right? Where I may just challenge myself to like park the car farther when I'm walking to work, take the stairs instead of the elevator. So share in the comments here, what do you guys like to do so far? And let's see how we can, you know, find these connections. Okay, a lot of people take crappy pre-workouts, I see. So some of the comments, I also used to think that I always gained 5 pounds once I consistently worked out, thinking it was muscle gain, and now in hindsight, it was inflammation. Yeah, absolutely. Hiking, I love hiking. And let me tell you the benefits of nature. I remember when I was still working at the gym and I was starting to finally make these connections when I started working with CCA and Michelle, that I was overdoing it. And I was in a flare and I was getting ready to go to work. And I was like, you know what, before I go to work, I'm going to actually head to this reservation that's by there, where they have some nice hiking trails. And I was flaring and I said, I'm just going to kind of take a walk and maybe find a spot to like zone out, meditate a bit. And it was exactly what my body needed. There's something so powerful about being out in nature. And actually, when I used to work with kids and mentor different teachers, I would always say, when you're having a rough day and the children are just having a rough day, put them in water, which obviously we can't actually put them in water, but give them water sensory play or take them outside. Hands down, like one of the best healing things we can do for our bodies is get outside. So hiking is definitely something that is beneficial. Riding my bike around the neighborhood, hiking, walking, and swimming. Swimming is another great workout and really helpful for our bodies. Oh, excuse me, because it's not as high impact, like the jumping and lifting the heavy weights. You get a good workout in with swimming, but you're not, it's not the same kind of impact as, you know, other kind of high intensity cardio workouts would be. Nature hikes, dancing. I'm a Zumba instructor myself. I love dancing. Long walks. Pure Barre. Oh, is that like that's bar dancing, right? Like, I've been really wanting to try that. That sounds really fun. Yard work. Absolutely. Yard work is considered exercise. That is, and again, you're outside, so positive, you know, benefits of being out in nature. But there's a lot of strenuous work that you can do gardening, and in the process, you're enjoying it. So absolutely. Tap dancing. Ooh, that's a fun one. Hot yoga. So let's talk about this. How do we develop a hormone-friendly exercise plan? So the first thing you really want to figure out are, you know, what kind of things can you do to get your body a little bit more active? So you might want to do a specific workout routine, whether it's Zumba, yoga, Pilates, some things that I had in mind, strength training to an extent, making sure that you're not overdoing it, hiking, swimming, walking, right? So finding different ways that you really enjoy the workout. I think what is the most beneficial is when the workout goes by so quick because you're having fun with it. That's why I've always loved Zumba. You know, I was such a dancer growing up, and I loved music. So when you incorporate the music part of it made the workout go by so much faster. By the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I can keep going. That's what doing love, rewarding your body feels like, not a punishment. So if you love bike riding and at the end of it, you just like, oh, this was such a great workout and it went by so fast, you want to do more of that. Because when you have that high, energized, excited feeling, you're doing good things for your body. Not when you're leaving like the workout that you feel like you put a workout in, but not that you're going to literally pass out and like have to drag yourself into the house. So that's something to keep in mind. My phone kind of went freeze here. Okay. So let's talk about standard over schedule. All right. So once you kind of have an idea of what brings you joy, once you're doing that level of activity, you want to do standard over schedule. The problem with schedule for people in general, but especially like if you've got a brain like mine, that's kind of like all over the place. And then also so fixated on the schedule that if I put something down on the schedule, I have to do it. And sometimes it causes more harm than good, because then I'm stressing out about, I have to get that workout and I have to get that workout out. And even on days where, you know, I was flaring and feeling like crap, I would still force myself to do that workout. Again, that level of punishment. So standard over schedule means that instead of scheduling that I'm going to work out on this day at this time, I'm going to move my body 3 times a week. That's it. Okay. You decide when those 3 times are. So I'm going to move my body and get a workout in or do a challenge day 3 times a week. What that allows us to do is have flexibility, because the other thing with the scheduling part of it is there's almost too much structure. So again, if you're like me or like a lot of people on here, when there's almost too much structure, you get anxious. Who can relate to that? Like, who gets overly anxious when there's too much structure? When you look at your calendar and you're like, oh my God, every minute of my day is accounted for, right? And there's no room for you to have those off days when you have a schedule, versus if you have a standard and you wake up today and you're just not in it, you just, you know, maybe that's a challenge day, or maybe you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to make it a priority today to do my plan of mediocrity, and I'm going to reassess tomorrow and see how I feel. And then maybe tomorrow is a challenge day versus doing a more kind of routine type of workout. All right, and we'll go into that next. But understanding standard over schedule is really important. And that, for those of you who are in the challenge, that's your homework for this week, is setting what your standard is. And everyone's standard is going to be different, and it is not set in stone. Understand that, okay? Like, and I'm telling you because I get it. Once I write something down or I make a decision, like my standard is I'm gonna, you know, move my body 4 times a week, I feel like if I have to change my standard because it didn't work, I am a failure. And that's not the case. You are learning about yourselves and you're doing that investigative work to figure out what works for your body. So your standard this week might be, I really would love to do, 4 challenge days or 4 days of movement. And then you realize like, that's too much for me. It is okay to change it. It is okay to adjust, to pivot, right? Another Friends reference, to pivot. Like it is okay, guys. You don't have to stick to that number. You just have to make sure that you prioritize that movement because you know now the benefits of it. So standard over schedule, that's the key. Okay. I'm losing my voice here. Excuse me a minute, I gotta take a drink of water. So challenge days. Why do I keep referring to challenge days? Everyone is at a different level of their healing and balancing. Okay, we all have different illnesses. We all have different physical things that might be might hold us back from doing certain levels of workouts or activity, right? Understanding what you can do and then setting up a system that works for you. So if you know your body can't handle a Zumba workout, or is like, even yoga for me is sometimes very difficult because I have a lot of joint pain. So when I have to do like certain point poses, I just don't do well. Like I get a lot of pain in my knees and in my hands. So for me, my standard's always been, I want to do at least 3 challenge days or workouts a week. It could either be challenge days or it could be workouts. Challenge days meaning I wake up, I say, okay, my schedule doesn't fit a workout, or my body's just not going to really fit a workout today. Excuse me. So I'm going to do a challenge day. And that just means adding as much activity into your day as possible while you're doing your routines. This is really good for people who are extremely busy. People have kids or like a high demand job or a lot of things that they have to get done, right? So park your car a little bit farther from your job and walk a little more. Don't take the elevator, take the stairs. Maybe when you're home, lunges to different rooms. While you're cooking, maybe you're squatting. If you're sitting at a desk, you can maybe do sitting squats at a chair. And this is one of the clients I was talking to was doing this. She actually got like a yoga ball and sits on a yoga ball at her desk, and she's bouncing on the yoga ball. Okay, stopping maybe to take a break and doing a couple push-ups. Like I'm just going to do like 5 push-ups here in my break. Again, the client was doing that too. So it's just little things that you can integrate into your day to do more movement. And then the days that you can get a workout in, again, you want to find a fun workout. You want to find something that's going to give you that flow feeling. If anyone's ever watched the documentary Flow, I highly recommend it if you haven't. But it talks about what happens to the body when you're in flow. And it can happen when you're doing physical movement, but it can also happen when you're just doing something you enjoy and love doing, right? But it talks about that feeling that often a lot of people feel that they describe when they're doing like marathons or I remember doing a Tough Mudder and having that feeling. Again, would not recommend it for my body now because I know what it does to me, the stress and the inflammation. But just finding something you enjoy that makes the workout feel not like a workout. And setting it to that standard over the schedule. And then knowing hormone-friendly limits and rules. So here's some things that I learned when I was working at the gym. You actually want to keep your workouts to 30 minutes. Okay, some people might do workouts for an hour. Again, every workout's kind of different. Strength training is a little different because when you're doing strength training, you have reps and sets and you're taking breaks in between. But if you're doing like something that requires more cardio, you don't want to do more than 30 minutes. Our bodies after 30 minutes are now pumping more adrenaline because we've exerted what we have in our tank. And now in order to finish, we have to pump adrenaline. So 30 minutes. And usually I keep it to 20 minutes, 5 minutes stretching before, 5 minutes stretching after. After the 30 minutes, our endocrine system kind of starts pumping all those hormones and things that we don't need. So keeping it to quick, even 10 minutes of something is better than nothing. But if you're really going to do a workout and try some maybe class at your gym, or you want to try a workout at home, keep it to no more than 30 minutes. So your system doesn't get that adrenaline push that we know causes massive inflammation for us. All right, another tips here. Rest between workouts. So if your standard's 3 days and you did a challenge day today, make sure tomorrow you rest. your body needs to recover, and your body also needs to flush out the hormones that were released, because whether we could do everything right and we're still gonna have adrenaline and cortisol go through our system, because those hormones are there for a reason. We need those hormones. It's when we release too much that it causes havoc in our system. So making sure you're resting in between those challenge days and workouts so the muscles can recover, so you can make sure you're, you know, properly hydrating yourself and flushing out whatever you need to do. And then, you know, giving yourself time to rest, physically and mentally rest. Okay. And then hydrate and eat. Make sure you're getting enough protein, especially if you're looking into doing workouts that require more muscle conditioning. You want to make sure you're getting enough protein, and you want to make sure you're getting enough water. Half your body weight in ounces. Sip and sit, sip and sit. Michelle says it all the time. All right, so you should be getting, your goal should be half your body weight in ounces of water. Now, for some of you that are working with me and Michelle, you might have the baby step where we're just asking you to increase your water each day and beat the number you got yesterday. But just make sure you're hydrating. It is so incredibly important to make sure you're getting enough water, especially now as you start incorporating more exercise into your daily lives. Okay. All right, so let me look at this chat. Hopefully it's not like all over the place. I can't seem to like open it the way I want to open it, but let's see here. Oh, I can pop it out. There we go. That's nice. Yoga, hiking in the woods with my dog brings me so much joy and peace. Walks in the morning. My husband got a Peloton and we've been doing yoga together. I also thought I'd hate the rides, but I love choosing them based on a playlist. Let me tell you, I love workouts that have music integrated into it. It's just so fun. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like there's been some times where I go to certain, especially like the Zumba workout by me, where she has like the lights going. I feel like, oh, I'm at a club like this, you know, like just have fun with it. Like I've done hot, like the hot yogas that have like a real fun environment and atmosphere to it. Like the more fun you have with it, the less your body's going to be stressed about it, because you're having those happy hormones, not the stress hormones. So definitely, and finding someone to do it with. Accountability buddies, let me tell you, like finding someone to maybe do the workout with, or even just someone that's gonna be that accountability buddy of like, hey, when are you doing your challenge day? Maybe we could do it together, or maybe I could text you after I do mine and see how it went, or, you know, just having that person to go to talk about this stuff is really gonna make the process easier. Hiking, swimming, yoga, weightlifting, dancing. I also challenge myself to walk around my classrooms for a number of times. Yeah, teachers are, I feel like teachers are pretty active already, depending on like, you know, what's going on. But I remember when I was teaching, I mean, granted, I taught preschool, so those 3 and 4 year olds would keep me on my toes. But yeah, just get, you know, doing more steps around the classroom. You know, I remember like I could have easily asked someone at the office to print something out for me, but I'd walk over there myself. So finding those little ways to add more movement on your challenge days, there's always a way. Let's see here. My Peloton, but I'm dancing half the time. There's some really interesting instructors on that Peloton. I love putting music on while I'm cooking or cleaning, and then like dancing around while I'm cooking. Yes. Yep, absolutely. Is that why with PCOS running for like 1.5 hours made me gain weight? Yes. Yes. Running for 1.5 hours, by the way, how? How did you even, like, kudos to you, but at the same time, yes. So I will say that when I was doing the gym, we did kickboxing classes, boot camp classes, even my Zumba classes, you know, until I learned better, were an hour, and they were high intensity stuff. And I just couldn't figure out, how is it possible? I'm literally doing it 5 days a week. I was teaching like 3 classes a day sometimes. I was flaring and my weight wasn't budging. The only reason I was thin at the time was because I literally couldn't keep anything in. So with my colitis, everything was just coming out of me. But with my PCOS stuff, forget it. I was inflamed everywhere. So absolutely. If you're pushing your body that far, the adrenaline is killing you. All right, let's see. All right, guys. So I love these comments. So what I want you all to do is take this information, digest it, you know, overnight, wherever you are, and then set your standard over your schedule and start the week with, how am I going to establish the standard? How am I going to do my challenge days? When am I going to do workouts? If I want to do a workout, make sure you're not going over that 30-minute mark. and understand that your mind might start to tell you, but no, you haven't worked out enough. Like, you didn't sweat enough. You don't feel tired enough. Tell your brain to shut up. Like that, that's not you talking. That's society talking. That's the personal trainers talking. That's the negative relationship to exercise talking. We now know that our bodies need a different kind of love and a different kind of attention. So we're going to do that. And in the meantime, learn how to rewire our brains so that self-talk isn't so negative and harmful to ourselves. All right. So I hope everyone has an awesome week. I can't wait to hear from everybody how, how this week goes and how you're integrating more workout into your routines. Definitely reach out to me and Michelle if you have any questions. Again, I was actually going for my license to be a personal trainer, so I do understand that kind of field, I guess you would call it. My brain fog is heavy today. But reach out to us if you need anything at all. And as always, we will talk soon. Have a great night, and see you guys, or talk to you guys soon.